In this video, we'll learn about a feature called Render Selected Objects, which allows you to re-render the selected objects and merge the result into a previously rendered image. It does have some limitations. For example, it does not work with Arnold drivers, and you have to use Cinema 4D's native save options. This might be fixed in a future release. First, let's take a render of what we have in the scene. I'm going to open up the render settings, go to the Save tab, and change the format to OpenEXR. And save it to this deleted folder on my desktop. As I don't have any AOVs, I can disable multi-pass saving. Let's press render and render the image. And this is the result in the picture viewer. Now let's imagine you were saving out a very long sequence, and after the render was finished, your client told you to change the color of this yellow pillow to something else and use a fabric texture like the other pillow in the scene. In a case like that, you don't have to re-render the whole image for the entirety of the sequence. You can just activate render selected objects and only re-render that problematic area. So let's see how we can do that. In the Arnold render settings, under the main tab, come down to the advanced section and enable render selected objects. You notice it does not work with the IPR, and you need to render through native save options and Cinema 4D's picture viewer. First, you need to define the selection mode. By default, it is set to active objects, so only the objects that are selected in the scene will be re-rendered and not the whole scene. There are a few other self-explanatory modes as well. If set to active materials, only objects which have the selected materials assigned to will be re-rendered, and so on. Background specifies the image which the updated pixels will be merged into. You have two options, black and file. Let's set it to file and load our rendered image. If it's a sequence, you can expand this background image option and enable animation to load the sequence. Now let's change the shader for the yellow pillow. I'm going to open up its network editor, and as its base color, let's load this fabric texture called orta.jpg. And use it as the base color. And change the sheen color to white. Now let's make sure the pillow is selected so the render selected objects work properly, as its mode was set to active objects in the scene, if you remember. Now we can start the render. You see only that object was re-rendered, and we didn't have to re-render the entire image. This could be a lifesaver feature in some situations. Glad it is added to Arnold. It just has some limitations that hopefully gets fixed in a future release. So that's about render selected objects feature. See you in the next one.